Hi, welcome. It's episode 4 already. I can't believe it. Here we are.
You're doing good.
Yeah. Everybody remembers Dave, my co-host and partner in crime. So
I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here, Nicole. I look forward to this every single week. I'm glad again that you're doing this, but it's a lot of fun. I always find it always interesting. You always say something to me that is exciting, and I'm always curious to know when something happens, whether I'm watching it on TV. I'm gonna write that down. I got a question for her about how that actually works and what she's been through. But for you, I guess, Nicole, it's old hat. I mean, you've been through so many things. You've seen it from the other side. There was a picture posted this week that went viral, and it's the famous scene from Fast Times at Ridgemont High where Phoebe Cates is getting out of the swimming pool and she does the bathing suit move. Have you seen the picture that's going around that everybody's talking about this week?
I saw a picture of sort of like a behind the scenes. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
It shows, she's getting out of the pool, and when you're a viewer, you just fall right into it of it just, her and it's the other character and it's you watching. You don't realize how it goes, but the picture shows there were like 20 people, including a guy in a wheelchair, who are all right there in front of her chest,
Yeah.
and it's one of those, again, it's the magic of Hollywood, right? To let you in and be involved in the story. But you sometimes, when it's good, you forget there's a camera and how this actually works, and there are people holding microphones and lights and everything that goes into
Oh,
it.
yeah. That's why it's
But
so funny when, like when it comes to love scenes and stuff like that. And you're like, people, you don't get it. Like you're standing there and there's, 50 people standing around you staring at you, and they're not staring at you like in a weird way. They're staring at you in a technical way because they're
yeah,
all doing their job and making sure everything is fine. But yes, it's very bizarre. Also, I want to thank you for being here today. Everybody, Dave missed court seats last night, the Laker game, because he didn't feel well.
I couldn't
So
believe it.
he's here with us this morning, and I really appreciate that because I don't know, that really could have screwed up my whole.
You know what? Anyone who deals with migraines, it's no joke. I mean, be honest with you, I started getting them about 15 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. And anytime people said I couldn't do this because they have a headache, man, when you have a migraine, it's bad. It's one of those things that can knock you out for 3 days at a time. And man, I'm driving up to Los Angeles from San Diego yesterday, and I'm looking forward to seeing, the Lakers make a run and LeBron and I'm about halfway there, and I was like, I'm not going to make it. There's no way. And I literally started thinking, Nicole, could I finish the game there and sit courtside? And what if I get sick on on camera? Like, what if I
like throwing up?
yeah, no, not throwing up or passing out. I just don't want to pass out. You know what I mean? Because if you
Yeah.
pass out and they're gonna stop the game, now you become the story, and I
How
don't want to be the
funny.
story. And then it's funny now. Yesterday, not so funny.
Not so funny. Not such
But
a
I was
good
thinking,
idea.
yeah, I'm thinking, well, I'm not driving back to. No way I'm going to make it back to San Diego. So I'm like, all right, I'm either spending the night in a hospital or in a hotel. If I finish this game out. And finally I just turned around and said, I'm not going to make it. I'm just too sick to go. I was really bummed out, but
I know.
yeah,
Well, I know you
absolutely.
had to have been sick. I know that had to be legitimate to miss that. Jeez
Yeah.
Louise. Yeah.
So yeah, super bummed out by it. But I no, I'm very happy to be here with you. I always have a great time here with you. I will ask you a little bit about the movie stuff on what goes on, especially since you brought up the love scenes, because that fascinates, I think, all of us. But I got to ask you, just check in on you. How's your week been going? How are things going with you in the last 7 days?
Well, my week is going really well, just really busy, being really productive, and trying to keep a good attitude with this horrible weather we're having. I mean, I live here for the sunshine. I need it. My soul needs it, and I don't have it, so it's a little bit like it's a real issue. I know people are probably like, wow, wow. No, it's real. That's why I live here. That's why I stay here. It's because I need it to survive. But you know what freaked me out and like really has me shook beyond belief is the whole Dalai Lama shit. Did you see that?
You know what? I saw it first from you. I saw it on your social media, and then I had to go look it up and go, what the hell's going on?
Like I'm broken over it. I practice a lot of like Buddhism and I read on it all the time. I'm no expert, and but I really, he's like one of the few people was following on Twitter. I really kind of start out my day with quotes and inspirations and stuff like that. It's a big part of my life and my well-being. And
Yeah.
when I saw that, I, I have never been so freaked by something in my life. You hear about actors and musicians and athletes and, you know, priests and stuff like that. And it never seems to freak me out or surprise me. I guess I'm completely jaded like that. But this one, I kept going, this has got to be one of those AI pranks, right? Like
Yeah.
because you're talking about how the AI is going to really affect the new election, and how, they're can make all these make believe things seem so real. And I was like, is this like an AI prank? Is this going to be, oh, just kidding? And you're not really hearing about it in mainstream media. And I'm like horrified, just horrified. I don't even know. I don't even know where to go from there.
It was the first thing I think you put on Facebook since you were suspended. Since
I'm
you were
still suspended. No,
oh
I'm still in Facebook jail. I still have another good month to go.
oh well, I caught it somewhere, and after you posted it, I had to go look for the story, and it was everywhere. I mean, it seemed
Did
like
you watch the
everybody.
video? Did you watch the
Yeah,
video?
I did. I wa Yeah, yeah. It was very disturbing. Anything with
Oh,
kids bothers me. Anything with
what?
kids really bothers me.
Yeah,
Um,
I, I'm really affected by it. Like I'm
yeah,
really, really, and I know people say, oh, people who are in these power positions, and especially with religions, when they, claim to be holier than now and all of that, it's usually something really deep and dark going on. But I didn't think so with him. Like I didn't
yeah.
get that vibe at all from that guy. Like,
And is there any way? Now, the last thing I would do is make an excuse for anybody that does wrong. But is there anything in your mind that goes, he's old, and that maybe he just is senile? No, no. You just think he's
no.
just a perv.
I mean, I don't know, like, was it perv or whatever it was? Like, obviously it's perv, but I mean, whatever, like, it's just not right. And somebody with
Yeah,
his wisdom is supposed to, obviously respect everybody and their boundaries and,
yeah,
their life. So there's no excuse for it for me at all. I tried. I did sit there for like a quick second, like a psycho, trying to like make sense of it for my own selfish reasons. And I think that this is sort of like, it was sort of an awakening to me of how I see people like now defending. Because if I wasn't a deeper thinker and I wasn't,
yeah,
in touch with so much of myself, I could see somebody feeling like how I felt about their idol or whatever, and like try to defend them and not believe it and say, oh, that person's lying, that sort of thing. It sort of made me go, oh, it was an aha moment of like, this is what people feel when they hear this about their hero or idol or whatever, because this has never happened to me before. I've never, like I said, I've never been surprised by any of it. And but there's no making excuses for it. There's no getting around it. It's disgusting.
absolutely, absolutely. So let me ask, in your day to day now, how does this affect your day to day? Do you still look for the quotes? Do you just say, I'm going to find a different way to kind of motivate me and get me going? I'm sure the quotes you probably share with your kids.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've collected the books I have with him. They're going out. I unfollowed him on Twitter. I Yes, I also use a lot of other literature and other books and other resources. So, that's going to be fine. But it is a big blow. It's a big
Yeah.
like, what just happened? Like nightmare, like one of those nightmare things you can't wake up from. I'm just really, I'm sure there's other people that feel the same way. I'm just deeply, deeply disturbed by it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's only April, but it's going to be in one of the biggest stories of 2023. I mean, just an amazing story. And again, I saw it from you first, but then I started looking around, and it was the topic from people that I didn't even think would be aware or even care But I didn't see one person that did, aha moments like I told you guys. Nobody. I didn't see any of those. But I think
I
just a
saw a
lot of
lot of it.
disappointment.
I saw a lot of, everybody who's in a position of power. They're deep and
Yeah,
dark, and I saw a lot of things of people not surprised at all, and I was like, really? Because
really. Yeah,
I'm over here, my brains are like out of my head. I'm sad. I'm so saddened by it. I'm like, and he was like so jovial about it. And the fact that you saw it from me first, that's frightening.
yeah, it's true.
Like, I mean,
No,
like,
maybe it just shows up on my feed the way my phone is
but is
arranged
there
through
going to be
Twitter.
consequences? Like, are there
Yeah.
consequences? Is there anything else that's going to come out? Like, what? I don't know. So I'm a little torn up over that. I have to be honest.
It's funny when I went to San Diego State, and that's where I went to college. The only class I remember at all is the religious studies class, and I'm not a very religious person, but I was curious to know what do other people believe. I was raised in a Jewish household. Both my parents were Jewish, and my parents were on the low spectrum as far as we do the minimum. And then after as I got older, I kind of just had a belief in God, but I didn't. It wasn't religious based. You know what I mean? And then I married someone who was Catholic, and her family was really tied into the church. And then when everything started happening with the priest, she kind of broke away from the Catholic Church. But at the same time, what I remember most about that religious studies class was to look at it from a point. We studied Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, and Judaism. And I remember thinking, okay, if I came from outer space and they put me on this planet and you had to choose one of those four, what are you choosing? And it made sense to choose that you choose Buddhism. It
Yeah.
just made sense. You treat people the way you want to be treated is basically what it is. Good things happen to, good people. And it was everything that just makes sense to me, what I want. And but you realize in Christianity, for example, Jesus was against hypocrisy more than anything else. Yet there's so many people who are hypocrites, right? And we see it all the time. And when you see people who are called out for hypocrisy, you just kind of shake your head and go, you know what, you're just like everybody else. And
Yeah.
so I did not see what happened coming at all. I did not see what was going to happen. And when I saw it on the news, I'll be honest with you, Nicole, I had to change the channel. It bothered me so much, I had to change the channel. I couldn't keep watching stories on it.
Yeah, no, I watched it. I watched it twice just to like, did I really just see that? Is that
Yeah.
really what I just watched? And that was it. Yeah, I'm not big on any kind of organized religion. I have a hard time with like politics, religion. I don't fit in any box. Neither of my parents were religious, and I sort of did like the searching. I didn't take a class like you did, but I did explore and read about religions on
Yeah.
my own, and I didn't buy into any of it. I mean, I'm sorry, and I respect anybody whoever gets them going and whatever gets them through the day, and keeps their spirit happy. But I'm not buying the story. I'm not buying into it. And so yeah, Buddhism is very much, it's the state of being, and believing in a higher power, and definitely giving thanks. I believe in thanks and prayer and meditation and being grateful and giving and all of that. So, yep, totally crushed by this guy.
Yeah.
Totally crushed by this guy. And I mean, something has to happen, because if something doesn't, I'm just kind of throwing in the towel on this on what we've got going on in the world right now. Yeah,
No,
really,
there's always something, right? There's always something that makes you stand out and go, man, I didn't see that happening. Again, 2023, at the end of the year when they talk about the biggest news stories, it's gonna be right there in December. The story's gonna come up again. Want to ask as far as what did you watch this week? Because I know some of the stuff you and I are watching. Are you caught up on Housewives of New Jersey as we go
I
from a
am.
terrible story to something as simple as Housewives of New Jersey?
Yes, yes, I
Okay.
watched last night. I did you?
I did. I'm all caught up.
Yeah.
I'm all caught up, and uh, it's so funny because I get a chance to talk to you about it. But I sit there and I find myself I'm a huge Melissa fan. I
No,
just
me too.
and I mean there are about three other girls on the show that I go, man, if I hung out with any of these people, these are the ones. And it's funny when she joined the show. and I had to look it up yesterday, Nicole, to realize she's been on the show for 10 years. I feel like she just got there, but I feel bad for her every time. I'm like, this girl gets run over by her crazy sister-in-law.
She's the only sane one. Like, she's the only one that seems to like make sense to me. And when they were talking last night, and Jennifer said like she was invited to the wedding out of like duty, or it was something like just because like she had to be invited, and I'm just sitting there going, you're awful, like you awful you awful human being. And like when this Jennifer completely clued in the psychic who read their tea,
Yeah.
their coffee grinds. I mean, it's so comical. It's so thirsty. It's reaching so far, and it's just like, it's just so obvious. It's comical. It's just absolutely comical. And Melissa just sits there with her jaw on the ground the whole time, and I had to give her a lot of props. She kept it together last night and said, this is about you, Teresa, and I don't want to argue. And she just really took the higher ground, but whoa, crazy.
By the way, I cannot drink a cup of coffee now in the last week without looking at the bottom of my cup going, what the hell does this say?
Well,
It's
drink
the
your
craziest
coffee
thing
with
to me.
grinds in it?
No, I don't drink it with the grinds in it, but I drink it really strong and it leaves
do I.
the film on the bottom. And I'm like, what the hell is this thing? I just think that's a wild reading. Were you ever one of those people, by the way, that would say, hey, I'm going to see a psychic? Like, have you ever had success on that or believed in that? No,
No,
never
I
tried it.
mean, neither way, neither here nor there about it. I mean, I would like to think that would be fun, but
Yeah.
it's never really. One time when I was a really little girl, we were at like the Orange County Fair, and there was a palm reader, and she said to me, "You're going to grow up and you're going to marry a really successful producer." And I was really young, so that always stuck with me,
Yeah.
but didn't come true. Or hasn't come true. But that was really kind of my only, what I can think of, my only, experience with it. But I always think it seems fun. But I don't like to spend a lot of time on the like what ifs and
Yeah.
what happened in the future and all that. I really kind of try to focus on like today, right now, and let's enjoy this, because I've been so in touch with like my mortality lately, especially after losing my parents and then going through the pandemic and like truly being the adult, the only one, that my kids are looking
Yeah.
to in this emergency situation, me going, okay, I have nobody to like, lean on for this. This is me. Sort of made me really change my whole way of thinking. And I don't think about tomorrow. I really don't. I don't think there's time for it.
Is your, I mean, as a parent, we're both parents, but as a parent, is your number one concern? I mean, I know to say kids is an easy answer, but as far as, your future with your kids, your kids, will they be okay? All that stuff that goes into your mind. What is like your worry, your concern?
Well, I'm single mom to both of them. I really, our family was so small even before my parents passed away. And so it's like, there's not a lot. There's nothing. They have each other, which is amazing. But that's also a lot to put on my oldest if something were to happen to me. So really, my option is to stay healthy. My
Yeah.
option is to stay healthy and stay around for a bit to make sure, everything's okay, because no, it's horrible. And it's a horrible, and there was a time when really started thinking about it, and I would like be so upset by it, and crying about it and like worrying about it. I'm finally at a place where I'm like, I've like let go. There's no control over any of it. And all I can do is like live for right now and be the best version of myself that I can be and the healthiest I can be. And, that's it. That's all.
How old, if you don't mind me asking, how old were you when your parents passed?
Well, my father, I think it's been close to about 15 years now, so that's been a
Okay.
while. And then my mom, it's been 3 years. It was right before the pandemic. So young. I mean, that's kind of young
It
to
is.
lose your parents.
It is.
My parents were older. My parents didn't have me. And that's another thing. My parents didn't have me until like their mid 30s. So me being, having a child at 40, I'm sort of like, what did I do? She's gonna lose me early. So, all of that comes into play. But then I'm like, you know what? I could have had all my kids at 20 and been the youngest and
Yeah,
still go outside and get hit by a car, right?
it's true.
So,
Where's your
I
time? It's your time.
just have to relinquish all, the control issues and all of that and just let's make today great.
That's the way to go. So for you, like holidays and everything, as you said, small family, it's you and the girls. It's one of those things where how important are that all of you are together, let's say Christmas time, Thanksgiving, the big ones.
Well, it's really interesting because when my mom was still alive, I always had to host everything. I had to do everything. And so it was always tradition, no matter what the holiday was, I'm cooking, it's at my house. And my eldest grew up with that tradition, like that. Um, and now my youngest, uh, we don't really we don't really owe anybody anything like that. My oldest is in New York, and we do see each other every holiday, but not for every holiday, right? Like, so
Yeah,
we'll see her for Christmas, but not necessarily Thanksgiving, right?
yeah,
Or I'll see her for my birthday, which is in January, and we won't see each other for Christmas. It
yeah.
changes year to year. So there's all this like free time, and my youngest, like most kids, hates Thanksgiving dinner. You know,
Yeah.
uh, and so I'm like, I don't know why we have to stick to these traditions. We don't really, and so I keep like saying, okay, we'll do something else, and then like the night before, we're like, yeah, let's cook. And then I end up like throwing a turkey in the cart and there we go. And so I still have been doing it, but I also like that time of, in the kitchen with the kids and teaching her how to cook and trying to like manipulate the recipes into stuff that she does want to eat, and try to make it fun. But
Did you learn how to cook through your mother? Who was the one that taught you?
no,
No.
no, that's why I had to cook no. My mom she was like one of these people who would cook like one dish at a time. So like asparagus was always this like dark brown color and the turkey was cold and dry and there was a lot of yelling and screaming coming from the kitchen and it was one of those nobody helps me and then you go in there get out of the kitchen. No, my mom cooking was not my mom's thing at all. So no. Once I got pregnant with Dylan, then I decided to start teaching myself how to cook.
Oh, wow. Wow. Did you enjoy it? I mean, were you like, this isn't for me?
Um, no, I did enjoy it, and then we always kind of ate in really kind of like fine dining all the time when I was younger, like that. So Dylan grew up with like this palate that was pretty particular and pretty like advanced.
Yeah.
So I kind of came to this place of like, look, if I don't learn how to, cook filet and lobster, I'm going to be broke. So we can't have that every meal. So I learned to, cook the things that we would eat out. And I started like that, like learning to cook the high end things. And
Wow.
yeah, and it's fun. No, we have a good time. I'm all about the under 30 minutes, the easy,
Yeah.
quick, healthy, good meals.
There you
Yeah.
go.
My kids have
Yeah.
never ordered off the kids menu, if you know what I mean. They're not mac and
Yeah.
cheese or chicken nugget
No,
kids.
they
They're
aren't
just not.
doing the chicken fingers and nuggets and all that
No,
stuff.
no. My
That
daughter,
is
they look at me like I'm like it's child abuse. If I were to ask them if they wanted a drive through, they would think that like I was mad at them. Like
really?
they're punished.
Uh,
Yeah. No way.
oh, that is funny.
No.
That is funny. One of the
Uh-huh.
questions we have coming up in the mailbag has to deal with food as well. That's funny. Oh my gosh. All right, hold on. I want to go back to I keep jumping around. Want to go back to what it's like when you're doing a scene in a movie, whether it's like the Fast Times at Ridgemont High scene, or it's the as you said, you're in a love scene, okay, or sex scene in a movie. And how many people are standing around? Do you realize what's going to happen beforehand? What goes through your mind of what's different when it's sex scene compared to a dialogue on the beach?
Well, listen, it's weird, right? So you may or you may not know your co-star very well. Like we're
Yeah,
just human beings. You're two human beings, just because this is what you do for a living and this is, what your art is, you're still two human beings that like have to make out in front of all these other people and you don't really know them. So on one hand, sometimes it can be a little bit comforting having everybody around because you're not like alone in it. It takes some intimacy out of it, if that makes any sense. And then, a lot of times it's shot by shot, and the director will tell you like what he's trying to get in that particular angle. And so, it can be cut up into pieces. It's not always like, okay, we're going to turn the cameras on and you two go at it.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that.
Are they
But
telling you what to do with your hands even? Like,
yeah,
you know,
it
what
can
like
be
hands on
very,
hips, hands in hair, any like it's all broken down to like that.
yeah,
Wow.
close up on this, close up on that, move to this, move to that, wide shot on this. So it's a little bit more directed and cut into pieces than people realize, but it's awkward. Like there's no way around it.
Yeah.
It's kind of awkward, but I think you just sort of like detach from it, and you know that the other person is equally, awkward, and you kind of laugh and
Is there okay, this sounds kind of crazy too though, but is there anything in your mind going, I'm gonna kiss somebody who's famous in this movie or on TV, and I hope they go back and tell their friends, hey, she's a good kisser. You know what I
oh
mean?
god.
I do, yeah, I mean, does the ego go into your like the ego would go into my mind going, man, I don't want them saying something terrible about me, you know?
No, because I'm not kissing them like with my passion, and like I'm not
Yeah,
kissing them as if there's someone that necessarily that like it just depends. It really kind of
yeah.
depends on what the setting is and all of that. But like for your average like kiss or make out scene, you know, those feelings aren't there, so it's not the same kind of makeout sesh, you know?
Yeah, but I always figure in the movies you gotta sell it like it is. You know, I mean, that's what you're
Oh, sure.
selling to the viewer. But I don't know. I just maybe it's insecurity that I would just like, man, as long as that person tells their friends, hey, guy was a good kisser. Like it'd
Great.
be
No,
important
I
to
never
me.
thought about that before, but now I'm gonna think about it.
now you're
I'm
now
gonna
you're
add
thinking
that
here.
to the list.
There
Other
you
things to
go.
be insecure about. Um,
Here's the one thing also drives me nuts when as a viewer when I watch TV and movies and there's a passionate kiss. I'm only a go to the right guy. So like I can kiss the left, but I'm like, I'm a better kisser when I go to the right. I know it. And whenever I see someone go to the left, I go, they aren't into it. kind of,
that's
it's
so
weird. It's
funny.
just one of my weird things.
I never thought about. I don't know if I go to the right or to the left.
Yeah. And see, to me, before you do a scene and you're gonna kiss, the director would have to say, hey, both of you are going to the right. Otherwise, you're gonna bump noses or it's gonna be awkward.
Sure.
You know, you
Yeah.
got to
Well,
figure out
it
which
is.
way
It's
you
all
guys are going.
no, 100%. It's planned out like that. So yeah, it
Yeah.
does take some of the guessing out of it.
Yeah, it was funny because I was looking up, I'm drawing a blank now. I was looking up a movie that you did with Corey Haim. We had a question about it on the show in the mailbag question. And it was there's a passionate scene in that movie. And I'm going, okay, this is probably why people are getting a lot of questions. Our mailbag, we get a bunch of questions about the movie. It was the one. Again, I apologize for drawing a blank, but it was the one you put the link out to last week. You
Oh,
said,
the
"Hey,
demolitionist.
yes, yes," and obviously, you're familiar with Corey, but at the same time, it
Corey
was one
wasn't
of
in
those.
that movie. That
Oh,
wasn't a Corey Haim movie.
oh, it wasn't a Corey movie. I apologize. It was. I'm not sure which one I looked. I looked up so many different things that you were in,
I
just
think
to
you're
ask you
probably talking
questions.
about Blown Away.
Blown away. That was exactly it. You're right. Blown away. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, that has to be a little bit different, right? When it's somebody that you actually have a relationship with and then it's on camera, there has to be a smoother transition. Am I right?
Yeah, well, that was weird. I kind of touched on it before, and I don't like talking about people when they're not here, but
Yeah.
also not everybody was completely sober,
Yeah. Yeah.
and yeah, there's like a like that familiarity,
Yeah.
and so yeah, it adds an element of weird to it. It did for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like when I said like it kind of went a little further than it probably was meant to or should have, it's just because I think that he was very comfortable,
Yeah.
and maybe not in the state of mind of realizing like we're on set,
Yeah.
we're doing a scene, being professional. There was a little bit missing. It was a little bit, there was a lot going on. There just was a lot
Yeah.
going on in that. So, and being young and all of that stuff. So, oh yeah, sex scenes. Well, what's funny is I did a movie called Kinjite with Charles Bronson,
Yeah.
and I played a underage prostitute. And it was funny because I was young when we shot it, and so my mom had to be on set the whole time. So now, and there wasn't actual like any touching or actual
Yeah.
physical because I was underage. But like, you want to talk about awkward, you're like in lingerie in a hotel, like a seedy hotel room, supposedly, being hired by like these high profile older men, and your mom's sitting right there. It's just like,
That is wild.
you know?
Yeah, that's wild. What is the rule? Is it if you're under 18, your parents have to be there for a scene?
Well, I'm hoping that now if you're under 18, they don't do it anymore. Did you watch the Brooke Shields documentary?
I
Pretty
haven't
Baby?
watched it all. I haven't watched all the way through. I'm very, very familiar though with her and her interviews though. Like she was just on Stern and everything else, and she has a wild story. I mean, and I look back and the Blue Lagoon came out, she's older than you and I, but I remember thinking, wait, this is a kid. This I can't believe it.
Yeah.
It is very strange to go, this is a kid.
Yeah. And then like Pretty Baby, when she was even younger, playing the
Yeah.
prostitute and having kissing scenes with grown men. I think that's not, people are not doing that anymore.
No.
I think we're leaving that back there, and we're moving on from
Good.
any of that nonsense. I think that's not going to fly anymore. That's, thank God.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
look
No.
back and you're like, wow, what was
What?
allowed is just, and it wasn't that long ago.
No. No.
Wild, just wild.
Yeah. A lot of things that weren't that long ago that seem to just go. Now the Brooke Shields thing is disturbing all the way through. I
Oh,
mean, it is
completely,
crazy, crazy.
completely. And it
Yeah.
made me like have such admiration for her too, in a way, because I was younger when I remember the Calvin Klein commercials and the
Yeah.
billboards and stuff, and I just remember thinking like how beautiful she was,
Yeah.
and it was like this older, beautiful teen that you could look up to. In like Blue Lagoon, it was more like, oh my God, she would like take your breath away because she was so beautiful, right? That you sort of didn't focus
That she
necessarily.
was a teenager.
But
Yeah.
yeah, she was a kid doing these things.
Yeah. No,
So
that
yeah, she's
that
very
is
relatable.
wild. Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. She's another person. I mean, we watched her grow up. The world watched her grow up from just being, a cute kid to wait a second. I think I don't know. You look back at it. You said, thank goodness they aren't doing that anymore. But talk about disturbing when you realize today how off color that is. That is
Yeah,
just doesn't make any sense.
and how
Just doesn't make any
acceptable
sense.
it was. Yeah,
Yes.
nobody batted an eye, and whoa. And
Yeah.
then and then people wonder like why we're so fucked up. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? you
Yeah.
know, people were traumatized, and you don't just come out of that unscathed. So, I think she's doing amazing, and I look at her and she's so powerful and so relatable, and has done so many positives. So it's nice to see. But yeah, things can go left really quickly when you put through that as a kid.
Absolutely right. It's funny.
Yikes.
You mentioned Facebook, and there are always those people who will say, things were better back in my day. Back in my day, you didn't wear seatbelts, you didn't do this, and I'm like, what? They have a whole list of, your kids didn't come home till the street lights were on, and I'm like, you understand how many kids went flying through a windshield before they made seatbelt laws? I mean, there's a reason why things have changed, and for you to look back and go, it was better when I was a kid. Hey, you survived. There were a lot of people didn't survive that made them change the laws. That's what
Right.
happened eventually,
Right. We talk
but
about
always.
that part. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
no, that always the get off my lawn guys. Oh, things were better back then. These kids today, they don't understand what the hell's going on. You get that all the
Yeah.
time.
Like we
But
didn't have to put babies in car seats. It was so great.
yeah, no kidding.
Just laid
How
them
many
down
kids
in the
were
back.
crushed against the dashboard because there were no car seats? I mean, what the
I
hell are we
mean,
doing?
I know. And I am laughing, but it's not funny. But yes,
No.
that's 100% true because yeah, and I get it. I get the I get why people think because there was also a lot less people, there was a lot less traffic, there was a lot less going on, and it was a freer, wilder time. But yeah, there was a lot of bad going on that we just didn't know existed.
Exactly right. All right, so here's a question I have for you. Just as again, someone who's just a fan of TV and movies, you touched on the love scenes, and you have everybody there, or a sex scene where everybody's there, and it's supposed to be hot and heavy, and as the viewer, it feels like it's just those two, and you're at home watching. But you see this a lot in Hollywood of people that fall in love on the set, and then all of a sudden they're in a relationship, and all of a sudden they're getting married, and that lasts a year or two, and then it's gone. How often, and have you ever had like, hey, I'm attracted to this person after spending 6 weeks, 8 weeks with this person on the set to go, I think there's a serious relationship here. Like, is that normal that when it does happen where you go, oh, I saw that coming, or it's short lived when you find out someone actually hooks up and gets married?
I think I think it's both. Sort of my theory is that, and it's not just with the actors, it happens with crew members and everybody on set too.
Yeah.
And especially like when you go away on location, so everybody leaves home and everybody's living in hotels and on set, and you spend so many hours together, day in, day out. You live and breathe the project, right? So when you
Yeah.
put human beings all together in a group, I think that instinct, like animalistic instinct takes over. You find a mate within your group, right? It's sort of like survival of the fittest kind of mentality. And I think it's something that organically, naturally happens with human beings because you're put together, there's a group of you, it's like a village. And
Yeah.
then in that village, you mate. I just feel like there's something just normal and natural about it. Um, so I think that that's sort of what happens. You're just with each other all the time for so long, day in, day out, that it happens. And, great if it works out past that. But, we see that it doesn't necessarily because then you're on to the next project and your
Exactly.
next village of people, right? So I think it's a matter of do you have a family at home? How committed are you? Or are you just single and, following instinct, human instinct? It is what it is. I think it happens in office settings, right? This is not just
Yeah.
movie sets. I think this
You're
happens
right.
in businesses. And anytime you put a group of people together that spend a lot of time, I think you naturally pair off. I don't know.
When you find out like two major celebrities, get married quickly, and then it ends, are you in a situation where like you're never shocked because you knew exactly what was going on? Saying, look, it was 6, 8 weeks, and they were the only ones around basically each other, as you said. They matched up during that time, but when the real world comes together, that it's not a fit anymore. It's not a match.
Right, because you're living in this,
Yeah.
it's like falling in love on a vacation,
Like,
or
yeah.
on a honeymoon, or like you have these dating shows where, yeah, they put them in these scenarios where they're like locked in a house together and then they send them somewhere tropical. And then when they get home to real life, it's like, whoa. So yeah, you have to, and I'm no judge for any of it because I'm not a big believer in um spending your whole lifetime with one person. I don't even understand how that's like possible. And I power to it. It's not that I look down on it or frown upon it. I mean, that's wonderful that people that find a soulmate like that and live their life like that. I just don't foresee that for myself. And so for me, I'm always like, are you sure you want to do that? Whenever somebody says they're getting married, I'm like, you sure? Like, why? Why are you doing that? It's
It-
just where my head goes because
yeah.
I get the whole spiritual side of it. I get like making a commitment. I think all that's beautiful. I don't get the part that we have to like have a contract about it. I don't know. It's kind of where I stop and go, huh? So I'm no one to judge anything. I feel like people they fall madly in love and get carried away, and people rush things, and that's their life. That's their story.
All right, so it just changing the topic real quick. Like I find myself when I get an invite to a wedding, I will go. do I want to go to this wedding? Because I know in my head, I'm thinking more than 50% of these things fail. And then I sit there at every wedding I go to and I go, I shake my head, not going to work. That whole deal. Now you're talking to someone again who got engaged at 19 years old and was married at 21. And I'm still married, 30 years now. But I'm telling you what, if I got an invitation to my wedding, I wouldn't have gone. I said, there's no chance it's going to work out. They're too young. They're too stupid. They don't know what they're doing. But in my case, it was different. But I go to weddings or turn down weddings all the time because I'm like, it's not going to last. So I'm not going.
That's
And
hilarious.
it's I know it's a ridiculous thing to do, but like when you get an invite to a wedding, do you sit there and you go, no chance, or you going, this one might work?
Well, it's funny that you say that. I have 2 weddings coming up. One next weekend. I have one next weekend, and I have one in June.
Yeah.
So the one I have next weekend is very dear family friends of ours. They're at the right age. They've been together a while. There are children involved. It seems to me like it's meant to be. Looks beautiful. I'm all for it. I think it's great. The other wedding I have, if you're watching this, I apologize, but I think I've been open about it. They're older. They're my age. We're all the same age. So I feel like they know what they're doing. They've known each other their whole lives. They're getting married. I believe it'll work because they know who they are. They know what's going on. But I do feel like getting married this old is ridiculous. I find it ridiculous. I'm like, why are you doing this? Why are you spending money on a wedding? Why aren't you buying property? Why are you, why am I going to a male strip review? Do I have to go? Because this is really going to test my sobriety. This is really going to test like my patience on all levels. I'm going to be embarrassed for these men. It's like we're 50-year-old women. There's no place for it. I just feel like that ship has sailed, for the young girls, go for it. Go do it. Go do all the festivities and have all. But at this age, I just can't even. I can't even understand how she does it with a straight face. I mean, if you're going to get married, I feel like you go to the justice of the peace, or you have like a nice little quiet ceremony and like maybe have a party. Like that's where I go with it. And I'm going to invest my money in something else. I'm going to buy another house. I'm going to do something like that.
When one of your daughters chooses to get married at let's say it's at 30 years old, okay, what's the advice? Big wedding, go do a justice of the peace, or you'd say, I'm out of it, it's your day?
Well, I'm out of it. It's your day, 100%. But I know my daughter, my oldest daughter, she's not going to want to spend her money frivolously. She's like me. She's super responsible. She's not even 25, and she is completely self-sufficient. She has a career and, goes on vacations, and like she's got it together. So she knows and understands the value of money and where it should be spent. So I just don't see her wasting it on stuff like that. I don't see it. And different things make different people happy. I guess some girls dream about that and they want to be a princess for a day. That's not in our blood. That's not that's not who we are. I'd rather go on a really great vacation. I'd rather purchase something. So I don't think my daughter would be like that. My youngest, I don't know. I don't know if I'll be around by the time she's 30.
You're going to be around. You're going to be around. You're going to be around. Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. So here we go. I'm going to fire through some of these questions. I always go a little bit long on these shows, so I apologize. Here we go. So look, the show is interactive. If this is the first time you've ever heard this show, Perfectly Twisted with Nicole Eggert, you can go to perfectlytwistedpod.com. You can look at the mailbag and you can add questions. You have an opportunity to write questions. I'll pull the questions out. I'll ask Nicole your question. And again, I know I don't get to all of them, but I'm doing the best I can to circulate through. So we're going to fire through about 5 or 6 questions, Nicole. This is from the people that are listening to the show. But again, you go to the mailbag and go right there on the website, perfectlytwistedpod.com, and feel free to write questions. We'll read them on the next show. This first question, Nicole, is from Jen Johnson. What would you do with an unexpected day off, no work, parent responsibilities?
Oh, that's kind of easy. I would catch up on some shows that I need to watch. I definitely go hit a Thai spa or a Korean spa. Um, I need it. I carry a lot of stress like in my back, so I need those ladies to walk all over my back. And what else? That's kind of hiking. I love to like just go and be outside in nature and take like a long aimless walk in the mountains. I love doing that and never have enough time to do it. So
Let me
that's
tell you
usually what I
something.
do.
Speaking of that, you kind of got me into Nicole was I asked her a question on Twitter a couple years ago about hiking. My goal was to hike. I think it's Runyon Park, right? Or Runyon Trail, whatever. The one that
Yeah,
takes you
Running
up to the
Canyon.
Hollywood sign, Runyon Canyon, takes you up to the Hollywood sign. Okay. So Nicole, I did this move, by the way. I got there, I walked up the longest walk possible because my kid said I looked up at like 4 different ways to do it. Of course, he chose the like 7 mile one. And we walk all the way up, and of course we're right in front of the Hollywood sign, and I'm like, the whole time I'm thinking of you going, she told me to do this, and I go, this is not fun. And I wore the wrong shoes, but I'm walking up this damn thing, and I'm like, all right, there's the Hollywood sign. I'm in front of it. He's like, it's not good enough. And we go even further, and we go now behind the sign, up on top of the sign, and I'm sure you've done it. And it's really one of the coolest places in LA where you can see all of West LA, the beach, downtown, Griffith Park, and you can see the valley at the same time. It's like the one spot in LA I've been to where I can see 360 Los Angeles. It's
Yeah,
really cool.
that's not Runyon Canyon, but yes, that hike. And I recently went up one that same little area, and I
Yeah.
was up on top of a flat rock, and I could just turning. Yeah, I could see all the way like Antelope Valley and
Yeah.
like the ocean. Yeah, I could see the whole city way past East LA, and it's just like you're in the city, you're looking at the city,
Yeah.
but you feel so like outside of the city. And it's just there's so many beautiful places in LA that people don't really understand, like the reservoir. I love to go around Lake Hollywood. It's so pretty, and when there's water in it, it's
Yeah.
so pretty. And it's such a good escape, like on a clear day. Wow. The other day I went up Fryman Canyon, and I could see snow-capped mountains circling me all the way
That's
around,
cool.
every direction you could see. And that's so rare. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. So yeah, fun things like that to just go out and like on an adventure. And
Uh,
I'm glad I got you motivated to hiking.
well, hold on. I'll tell you the bad part in a second. All
Oh,
right.
okay.
it's
It's
all
worse.
great. No, it's all great now. I'll tell you the bad part where you steered me wrong. But we get to the top of the Hollywood sign, and so my son says, "Hey, I want a picture, of me in front of the sign." And so the running joke in our family is my wife can't take a picture for shit. So she takes a picture of him, and he just shows me his phone, and he goes, "How in the hell did she manage to miss every damn letter in the sign?" And it's true. So he's standing there, and there's not one letter in the sign. Yet he's standing in front of this giant Hollywood sign, and he's like, "Just take a picture." He's so mad. So we walk down the hill, okay, and walking down the hill, for anyone who's going to do this, just so you know, wear the right shoes because it was harder for me to walk down the hill than up the hill. I thought it was easy. And then when I got to the car, I could not move. My back was just jarred walking down that steep hill. And I'm like, I wish I knew about your Korean massage because that's why I should have gone right
It's
after
truth
that.
there.
I was
Yeah.
jacked up for 2 weeks. I was like, my back hurt so bad driving back to San Diego with a bad back. But it
Well, there's
was
always an easy way up and down or more difficult. Like that's the other thing. There's always like different ways. I know
yeah,
one time I went by myself. There's this hike called Up to the Wisdom Tree.
yeah,
And I mean, I was climbing up it. It was like a lot of rock climbing, not a lot of path, It was and then to go down, I was like, shit, what have I done? And when you're by yourself, it was
yes.
one of those days of like by myself, wasn't feeling like the most in shape, and I'm like shaking, like, oh my God, I'm gonna
Oh
fall to
no.
my death. Is there anybody around? Hello, anybody? So yeah, there's, it can be amazing, it can be a little scary, but that's all part of the fun.
Exactly. It's all part of the fun. All right. Here, we'll never finish the show unless I get to these questions. Sorry for interrupting. Here we go. Jen Johnson had second part on this question, by the way. People are sometimes described as being high or low maintenance. Where do you put yourself on that scale?
Well, that's kind of relative because it's relative to, do we live the same kind of life? Because to some people, I might be extravagant, but then to other people, I'm really quite reasonable. Emotionally, I think I'm a little bit high maintenance because I do, like, at this point in my life, demand the respect that I need, but I'm not a needy kind of person. So I don't know. I think it depends on who you would ask. I know that I know that there's been relationships I'm in. I'm like, this person is so about mediocrity. Like, I gotta go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely need like spice and flavor, and you don't have to be the most successful, and you don't have to have the best, of everything. But I like style. I like flavor. So it's like, if you don't have the money to buy like a really nice car, I hope it's a really cool hoopty car. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
don't. There's just like, I'm high maintenance like that. Like, you just have to have good style, but uh, I don't know.
All right,
Oh,
this is from Brendan Backos. Brendan is a big fan of horror movies. It says, "Hi Nicole, my question is about the 1990 horror movie you've made, The Haunting of Morella, directed by Jim Warnowski, who famously put Tracy Lords in a remake of Not of This Earth. So please tell me, what was it like working on your horror movie? Working conditions? Was it a quick shoot done daily or quite long hours for you? Do you like to watch horror movies?"
oh, that's a lot
That's a
of
lot.
questions. The Haunting of Morella was it was a Roger Corman film. He was the producer, and he was known for doing a lot of like it was like Shakespearean, oh no, it was Edgar Allan Poe based horror. I had a body double because I was too young to be doing in the nude scenes. Jim Wynorski and we're still in touch. We're still
Cool.
talk on Facebook and stuff like that. I think that I probably was a pain in the ass on that set because I wouldn't do a lot of it. And there was a lot of like bugs and gore, and I was horrified. Like, there was a scene, it's a nightmare. I can't really remember. And like, I open a box and there's like serpents and bugs and like things I can't even, and a hand comes up out of it, and like grabs me. And I had to like stand there screaming. It took a lot to get me to be able to stand there and do it. So that was that was a rough shoot, to be honest. But it was fun with the costumes and the storyline and getting to see how all of that stuff is done. Because yes, I do like horror movies as well. Not as much anymore, but when I was younger, I was a big fan of horror movies.
Is that right?
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
your all-time favorite?
Well, I guess, like, I love all the things like The Shining and the Friday the 13th, the Nightmare on Elm Street. I loved the original Scream. I loved anything like gory like that. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I watched it now. Me and my youngest, we went and watched Scream, and we were like, "Oh," and she's like kind of giggling through it. I'm like, "Yeah, this isn't scary at all, is it?"
I don't
The
know. When I
times
was
have changed.
I think when I was in second grade, I saw Halloween and I didn't sleep for a week. It was
Yeah,
scared the hell out of me. It
yeah.
scared me like you wouldn't believe. Yeah.
And you look back and you're like, "Oh, it's not that bad." But
I'm afraid
I
to
love
look
all the
back, I'll be
American Horror
honest.
Stories. What was that?
Said I'm afraid to look back, I'll be honest. No, I've seen it since. I've seen it since.
And I like stuff like Handmaid's Tale. That's sort of horror in a way.
Yeah.
I love Handmaid's Tale and all the yeah, I love good stuff like that. And it's fun to watch it being made like on set, to see that stuff. That's really fun.
That is cool. That is cool. All right, here we go. Caitlin Ramsey. Sorry if I missed you talking about this already, but how did you get the idea to do the Baywatch documentary? Are most of the early years cast going to be part of it?
All the cast will be part of it to some degree, for sure. And the idea actually came about when I was looking to do a project with a group of moms from Baywatch who are now moms. And we were taking it around to networks, but they really kind of wanted to do a reality spin with it. And it just wasn't a right fit. It was weird. And it didn't really happen. Nothing clicked. And then I was having a conversation with Matt Felker, who's our director on the documentary and executive producer. And we were talking about documentaries that we love. And somehow we were like, let's do a documentary on Baywatch. And we just started brainstorming and just two friends shooting the shit about what was actually interesting about it and where everybody is now and how to do a new take on it and how we would do it differently. And that sort of, we were like, by the end, because a lot of times you have these conversations and then that's it. It's just a conversation, right? But by the end of it, we were still like going and going. So we decided to go forward with it.
Good deal. All right, here we go. This is one more on the personal side. Are you glad you're a girl mom, or did you want to have a boy as well?
Okay, so that's funny. That's really funny because my oldest always wanted a sibling, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Finally, at 13, I sit her down and I'm like, "You're going to be a sister." She's like, "What?" And I said, "But you always wanted a sibling." She's like, "Not now. Now it's too late." And we were kind of laughing. I'm like, "Well, talk about too late. It's too late to do anything about it." So she's coming, and I wanted a boy. And my little one gives me shit about it all the time because she'll say like, "But I'm the girl you didn't want," and I was hoping for a boy because I thought that would be the best of both worlds, to have a boy and have a girl. And then, me and my oldest, we were like, well, it would be great if it was a gay boy because we'd be the perfect family and fit,
Yeah.
So, we had all this, and then I did the 3D ultrasound and it was a girl. And, life is funny like that because now I see it. Now that I have the two girls, I see why, and everything happens for a reason. And the universe gives you exactly what you need. And I wouldn't change it for a thing. And I wouldn't change anything about it. We're exactly where we're supposed to be. And so I'm happy now, but it would have been nice to have both.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. This one's, I'm going to mispronounce your name, Ed. I guarantee it. It's Ed DeRoche, I'm guessing. I'm doing the best I can, Ed. I apologize. All right. I remember watching in a Baywatch episode, one of my favorite shows was when your character was diving off a high dive. Did you do any of that?
No.
No.
What's so funny about that? Yes, that my character was a high diver, and I had to like do the scenes, and we would shoot like on the ladder going up to the high dive to the platform, and I was scared to death to even go up the ladder. I was like, nope, you can get me up to here, and I want nothing to do with it. But I would watch them and say, I wish I could do that. I want to be able to do that so bad, but my fear of heights it's just like it's out of control. My fear of heights. And it was funny because the show was offered to me from ABC to do a high diving competition show. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. And I'm like, where are you going to shoot this? And they're like, Rose Bowl. And the Rose Bowl is where we would shoot the stuff for Baywatch with the high diving. And I'm like, I'll do it. Count me in. And I remember walking up, like shaking, barely making it up the ladder the first day on this show, and standing up on the high platform. And I swear to God, I thought the wind was going to blow me off. Like I thought if the wind even like blew, that you were just going to go flying off. I wouldn't allow anybody else to come up on the platform with me for a long time because I thought they were going to push me off. I was like, what if they push me? I don't know these people. What if they accidentally like knock into me and I go flying off this thing? And I mean, talk about conquering a fear. It was something that took everything inside me. I would be driving to set, like in the slow lane on the freeway, going, okay, if I can, the more time I can eat into my practice time, the less I have to get up there, just driving slow as can be and just going, what have I done? What have I done? But I eventually got to a place where I would just throw myself off of that platform and just like take the bloody nose and the black eye. And it became this like, how far can you push yourself?
Wow.
And I came in second. I came in second place on that show, right under this young 20-something-year-old kid who is like an extreme sports guy.
Yeah.
And I came in second right behind him. So I'll tell you what. Yeah. Us old broads, we can do things.
You conquered that fear. That's pretty good. I'm afraid of heights too. I won't even hang Christmas lights. I'm no joke. You get a ladder. I'm 2 steps up. I'm not a heights guy at all.
No, like physically, your knees start
Yeah.
shaking. And you're not standing properly. You're
Yeah.
not. And I remember I was doing this trick where I was doing a handstand up on the platform, like on the edge of the platform, and then I would like flip over and go into a flip into the water. And anyways, we changed locations, and I was doing it off a different platform in a different place, and I was so nervous, and my elbows gave out in this handstand, and I like fell onto the platform, and I watched myself in slow motion like bounce off the this platform and the stand and into the water, and I was like, oh dear God, like I hope somebody got that on film, and they did. And oh my God. So that came full circle. That was like a full circle moment for me with the high diving.
All right,
I'll
here we
never
go.
do.
Last one for the day because I've already taken you over an hour. This is from Vicky Laganis. When you're tired of eating good, what do you like to indulge in or indulge on?
Mexican food.
Ah, there you go.
I can eat Mexican food breakfast, lunch, and dinner for
Yeah.
sure. And I don't think growing up next to the border helps with that at all
Yeah,
because we have the best Mexican food around
we
here.
do.
So that's like hands down, and everybody knows that's where I want to go.
I'm with
Yeah,
you. I'm with you. I'm
yeah.
a huge fan of Mexican food, Italian food, but the Mexican food in Southern California is insane. I'm sure it's great in Northern California, but whenever you get somebody from, let's say, Indianapolis or North Carolina that says we have the best Mexican food, you're like, come on, what are you
I
talking
know.
about? You have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
I know. I remember even in like New York when you couldn't get good Mexican food, or like in Canada, it was like non-existent.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's funny.
we're spoiled over here. Yep.
We are. We're spoiled over here. All right. So next week, I know we're gonna add a guest to the show, which is gonna be
We
exciting.
are. We're gonna
And
have our first guest. Woo!
yeah,
That's gonna be
w-
fun. That's gonna be really interesting. I'm
it's
excited
gonna
for
be
that.
exciting. Me
Yeah.
too. Me too. I'm excited. And again, that guest will always be known as the first guest on Perfectly Twisted. So very exciting. And again, hopefully it's the first of many as we keep things going. But it's always great, Nicole. And man, I hope you have a great week. And again, the weather has to get better for both of us in Southern
Yeah. Come
California, right?
on. Come on. I need the weather. I need the sunshine. Yes. But don't forget to subscribe to us, Perfectly Twisted, anywhere you get your podcasts across all social media. We're Perfectly Twisted Podcast and perfectlytwisted.com. You can always visit us there. And we will see you next week. Oh, also tell me about the lip glosses. I found a new one. Elf. Ladies, boys, Elf. And it has plumper in it. I swear this was under $9. Again, I got pink Cosmo because my daughter told me, oh, that's way too pale. That's way too light. But I like to put it over whatever color I already have on. And it
Yeah.
makes everything a plumper and makes everything super high gloss. I highly recommend. So let me know what I should buy next. And this was
Good
at
deal.
Target. Target.
The good deal. That's what it's funny. When you did this a few weeks ago, everyone's like, I love it. I kept getting people saying to me, man, I love the fact that she's telling you what she's putting on her face and what she's using and she's willing to share. So I'm glad you shared with the
And
audience
one
right now.
guy told me, one guy said, he wrote in and said that I needed to get a safe for all my high-end cosmetics. And I was like, are they going to come steal my like half-used Bobbi Brown foundation? I don't think so. And
Everyone's
during COVID and things like this, I don't suggest you steal people's expensive lip gloss. Nope. Don't do it. I think my cosmetics are safe.
I think they're talking about your daughter. You were saying your daughter was stealing your stuff. You need a safe from your daughter. You were saying your daughter was taking all
Oh,
this stuff. That's what he's talking about. Because people
oh,
kept saying that to
so
me. People
oh,
kept saying that
okay.
to me. She goes that she needs to do a better job of protecting her stuff from her daughter.
Okay, listen. No. It'll be one of these scenarios that I'll turn around and go, "What's the combination?" Let's be honest here. She'll
That
be
is
letting
it.
me know what the combination to the safe is, so that would never work.
Oh, that is funny. All right, Nicole, have a great week.
You too. See you later.
All right,
See you next
take
week.
care.
Bye.